let's talk about alien love bite. One of the things is I mentioned this in some of the sessions. I have worked with people who have been victims of this thing, but I myself have experienced an alien love bite, and I want to share what I've been through. Maybe you'll find some common signs, and it's life changing. One, being in that kind of relationship that is controlled and getting out of it. So, alien love bite. It's quite a thing. Uh, the book or the whole subject. It's written and explained by Eve Lorgan. She has a few books, The Dark Side of the Cupid, The Alien Love Bite. I highly suggest you to, either get a books or find some info online. She has a lot of great videos, a lot of great material. But here's the thing. If you ever been in a relationship or notice some love triangles or love that can be super passionate and yet super toxic, you love them so much and you're hurting freaking a lot and it just breaks your heart. So like a lot of these great times and a lot of bad times, and it's just like super passionate and super destructive. That's the thing. So what is an alien love bite? First of all, right? So people uh, get abducted. Two people who never met each other are taken. They're messed by the aliens, the race usually, and so when they're brought back, people develop feelings, and it all seems like this big coincidence. Explosive, super passionate. You see the person, you feel like you knew them all the time, and there's this great attraction, like something about it that, you can't explain it. It's just like, oh my god, it's my twin flame, it's my twin, like a soulmate. Oh, and you go all for it. And so people just get in a very strong relationship. It's almost like really hard to pull them apart. And then things happen. Eve, in her book, mentions the signs, the common signs of what happens to these couples. And, usually, and what happened for me is like, you don't know the person, you see them either live or on the internet, and all of a sudden you end up connecting one way or the other. And the relationship develops really fast. Like, both of you can talk for hours and hours, and you have tons of subjects and tons of things in common, and like you're different and yet like almost like mirrored of each other. And it will be different for some, but one of you can have super passionate feelings and one of you will be cold, like when we're talking about relationships. Or both people might be super passionate. But then once they get together, once they get super connected, then the destruction starts. Because it's an often sign of a third party. A third party, like you will have someone else interfering in the relationship. Oh, so now you're like just a lover. Oh, he might have a wife, you might have a husband, or there will be like someone else, like third party appearing, an ex or something. And it's like, okay, so now there's a lot of jealousy and stuff. But with these signs, what he mentions, now I'll just mention like the common symptoms of what happens to those who experience left bite. It's like, okay, so one of the people have the ties to the intelligence community or the military. And you're like, okay, so my husband, wife, someone I know, someone I'm in love with, do they have that background? Are they in the intelligence groups? Are they in the military? Well, yeah, they served for quite a while. A few years or not, but doesn't matter. But people who've been in there, there's a lot of programs like Secret Space Program, MyLab, and other things where people will be taken and programmed. So they're kind of like made as handlers. And when we're talking about a subject, a victim who has been, like, let's say, in the SSP or the MyLab or something else like that, might not necessarily be aware of it. They will be completely fine. It's their life, it's how they feel every day. But because they have been affected, they will have certain triggers or actions that for them seems normal, but those actions, the way they are, will trigger the other person insanely. It's like, oh, everyone does that. Well, no, necessarily. And so the relationship will develop this thing where one person is a freaking psychic, and the other one is more material. They might have plenty of knowledge and wisdom and like interest in life, but the other one will be over the top knowledge and knowledgeable, spiritual, and will be able to pick up stuff no matter where you are. It's like having a remote viewer connected to you 24/7, and they're empathic and they feel stuff. And so it happened for me. The guy I fell in love with, okay, military background and everything else, cool, not too much, but it was in there. And all of a sudden, love interest, it happens. Like you're freaking passionate about it. Like, yeah, I was. And I still appreciate the relationship and everything that happened. But it's like now knowing what happened, I can see the signs of the current relationship I have and me being in the relationship that endured the alien love bite. It's like I would be able to psychically pick up what the person does, no matter where he is and what he does. And it's like I don't want to. I I want to be interested in my own life. I have my own interests. I have my own activities, and yet I can sit there and these flashes pop up of the activities. It's like having a CCTV cameras in someone else's space, and whether you want it or not, it's in here. You see it, you feel it, you perceive it, and it's everywhere. It's like built in. So when alien love bite happens, and we have third parties interfering with us, race, reptilians, and others who mess with our bodies, with our systems, it's like they have these like astral implants that will affect you. And so whenever someone else does, like if you're in the relationship that has been right now messed with someone by someone else, like let's say Grace, they abduct you, they mess with you, they implant stuff, they it's just like the whole thing is scripted. You're connected like magnets, and at the same time it's gonna destroy you. So in this connection, one is made super psychic, one is made to trigger you insanely, control you. It's like a handler. And while you have the passion, like there's a lot of things where there's gonna be plenty of red flags, but you will not know. You will just like not see it. Uh, Flying by, right? And that person, every single action, whatever he or she does, it's like it seems normal. It's just a lifestyle. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so triggered? And of course, I can't say like everything that I've experienced. Oh, it's just an alien love by stuff. It's not me. No, I have to take responsibility. I have to be responsible for how I feel, how I react, how I get triggered, how I deal with everything, and learning that immunity or control or awareness of okay, like it's been happening so much to where I get triggered, to where jealousy, third party things, like triggered events, triggered miscommunications, where you will have some phrases like maybe for me it was like my parents, it was my mother, my brother saying things to me in my childhood that really hurt, and specific phrases that guy just said. It's like, yo, dude, and I can talk about it. I can share like, hey, this has happened to me. It hurt me, and it would be great if you would find another way to phrase it, even if it's the same thing, just a little bit differently. And I will react like a whole different way. Finding ways to deal with it is like always like it's my responsibility. But when it comes to the alien love bite, it's like they have a clicker. They will set up a situation where it becomes predictable. It happens often. You will have several days or a week or a month where it's going to be a good time, but then they will just one push of a button and it's like everything scripted. Things from around you, can happen, like stop you, irritate you, trigger you, or the person itself just like completely an off button. You might have a connection, they click a button, the other person feels like you don't exist. They don't want anything. They don't have any feelings, they become really cold, they become disinterested. And then it's like, of course, it's a little bit in physics, just like with the coil. Or physics of a relationship. When the guy is interested, the girl kind of like backs off. When the girl like backs off, the guy gets cold, so she goes back to the guy. It happens a lot, like well, physics, right? But with this relationship, it's pretty much like with the alien love bite. They do it a lot, and so they will create the high where you feel like, wow, there's something to expect. Life is good. You just get like, into this joy and like really passion for life, and then they will destroy you completely. They will cause situations that make you want to commit suicide or something like that. So yeah, going back into what Eve Lorgan says, like military background, intelligence groups, like that happens. Caucasian genetic background, like absolutely, a lot of Caucasians are part of it. But even then, like uh, Eve says, like it's 80%, like 8% of the statistics and people who are Caucasian. Yeah, but working with clients, I've seen everyone. Like not absolutely every single person, but different groups, different ethnicities. It doesn't really matter. These things happen, and it's more also tied to people to see like, okay, you're a spiritual being. your conscious being. You can do a whole freaking lot. You might be a good manifester, you might be a great healer, an energy worker, you have psychic abilities. There is something within you that can change a lot. Whether it's whole humanity and you sharing information, whether it's you being a teacher, or you're like, to hell with it. I don't want to be a light worker. I don't want to save everyone. I just want to be the best aspect of me and focus on me. And it's not you being selfish. It is you taking care of yourself. And when you are doing good, you're giving the most to everyone else. And that's great. So with these groups, when you are doing best in life, whatever you do, it will make others happy. When you are doing really good, when you're successful, you can contribute in like tons of ways, be inspiring, and you just have a great potential. When you have a potential, you will be targeted. There's plenty of groups, third parties, Greys, Reptilians, Dracos, yada yada yada. They don't want you to succeed. So this whole thing where, they see your potential, things you can create, things you can do, how your life can change, and they will see like, hey, well, this person is dangerous, so let's make sure we isolate that person or make sure like it's really grounded, chained, and can't do much. And that's when you really get a target. So you might not be into love, but you start working on something, you find some goals, you find career path, and you're really successful and you're creating stuff, and all of a sudden this relationship shows up and you get into it like, oh, it just happened so smoothly. Like I was interested then she showed up, and then he showed up, and then stuff happened, and it's great. And then it really messes you up, and you can no longer focus on your career or creating stuff or something that was super important to you that might have been helpful to you and others. Now it becomes all about the relationship and trying to survive or save it or make something happen, and it's not really working out. So there's a lot to it. But another thing, it's pretty much like being a Native American mixed genetic background. So Celtic, Native American, or something like that. So like maybe even different ethnicities, people from different side of the countries. Like for me, it was like, okay, have a Native American and me, I myself like I'm Slavic, like living in Lithuania, Baltic and all. So yeah, different backgrounds, but like, okay, like that matches the things. So we're going into the genetics, we're going into DNA and all of the roots and genealogy where people like, hey, well, that's kind of interesting ancestry you have. Me too. Well, okay. So these will be affecting as well. Because like, okay, looking for not necessarily pure blood, that doesn't really matter. But it has a thing where people will have history, they will have connections to more spiritual side or people who've been connected to nature and like knowing what's going on. And then we're going through all the triggers because now it's easier to connect and control the genetic tree. Meaning, okay, your generation, or your lineage has seen war, your lineage has seen diseases, your lineage has seen so many things. So when you are in this life, they can push little buttons and trigger, okay, financial issues. Your parents or great grandparents and great 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 parents have seen issues with diseases or war, and they became frugal. They couldn't like that make that much in life. Now your buttons will be financial issues. You will have hard time making money. You will have hard time succeeding. You will have fears. You will have to be like, oh, okay, I'm frugal. I can't allow myself to do stuff. So there like will be various triggers. While the other side will have an easy time, like, oh, I don't care about money. I can spend as much as I want. I'll make money, and they might not be too good at making it, but they will have no triggers. And so you will have personalities and history in the family where one side can be super triggered about one subject and the other one will not. Someone will like diseases, whatever, my family's free, like everyone had a great immune system, we've been really, really strong. And someone else can have like, oh my God, cold, and they will feel super triggered about it. So different ethnicities, different parts of the countries, usually, or not necessarily, but you look at the lineage, where you came from, where your ancestors came from, and you, okay, you just categorize. People had issues with war, so of course, like, okay, triggers about having kids, or triggers about, like we've seen so much, so this planet is really messed up. So why should we have a family? Why should like we work really hard? Like it's all gonna be a mess. So there's gonna be some kind of thinking, but pretty much limiting to the whole family. Everyone will have a strong core belief, a personality, ideology that will trigger the other person. So there's that. Ties with the occult ties, witchcraft, transmediumship, mediumship, and other stuff like that. Like pretty much like the same as being psychic and other thingies. Some people in the family will do some witchcraft. Some people will be like, okay, like getting all the readings from other people, someone else. But it's interest that indicates like, okay, that will happen. So one side of the relationship will be more into this world, like financial, material stuff. The other one is a little wacko or whatever you want to call it. But hey, like everyone has different interests. It's like you might seem like a crazy person, but they're still accepting you. But so whether it's you or it's in the family, it does have ties. It's just easier to access certain people and use that as a button. Because now we have third parties that can be used as handlers to trigger us, and then the information given to us, the channeling, other thingies, us picking up entities, so much stuff. So there's that. Psychic abilities. And also anomalous objects, implants in the body. Boy, have I seen some people. Uh, Working with some people who've had issues with the alien love bite. I've seen implants where person can just take up a magnet that's just gonna stick to their face or someone like their body. Like it just gets crazy. But there's very simple. And I'm not talking about specifically metallic where you can feel it in your body, but it can be all like also astral or organic to you will hear some phrases and it'll just turn up the ringing in your ears. It will cause headaches and migraines, or one person does something that you might not know about, but whenever that action happens, it's just going to trigger a part in your body, causing immense pain or tension, a hard time breathing. It's like all those triggers where you feel like something's bad's going to happen. All your senses jump to, like over the top, and now you're like just sensing like something's wrong, but you don't know what. And these relationships get triggered like that. It's like your person, like, your guy, your girl goes to work, goes outside in town. They're not doing anything. But then just one little thingy, and you feel them. You feel when they're doing fine. You feel that when they're not doing so good. You feel when their emotions change. That is normal in the relationship when you connect to someone deeply. But when it comes to alien love bite, they will make it over the top, like on steroids. So smallest things, if someone you love, when it's, I would say, like either false love or controlled love by the alien love bite, then it's gonna be over the top. Your person will feel triggered, you will pick it up, but it will just trigger you way more than them. And there's also like jumping where people try to meet each other on the same emotional level or try to raise them up. So meaning if someone you love comes back home, or you just like you interact with them and you see that they're triggered, or they're kind of sad, what you try to do is like you make them up, like, okay, uplift them. You're not feeling so good? Well, how about, we cuddle. I make you some coffee or tea. I make you some dinner. Doing something to make them feel better because it's normal. Just like, hey, taking care of you because I love you. Well, when it comes to the alien love bite, it'll be like, oh no, you have to meet them on the same level. They're disappointed. How about you be disappointed as well? And then you both go down. And then you go even lower because, like, oh my gosh, well, it's not even being empathic, it's you being crushed by their feelings. It's all delusion. You might have the best day ever. You just met with colleagues, maybe you did something yourself, you feel like you're growing as a person, you're proud of yourself. Here comes your guy, your girl, they had something happening and throughout their day, now they're disappointed. And your wins, whatever you've done, it just disappears. And that person, it's like similar to a narcissist. They will not even care about your needs or what happened about your wins. They will not want to hear about it. It's all about them. So there's these variations where it's gonna jump back and forth. The personality changes, the way of beingness. They can be super affectionate, passionate, loving, and then boom, turned off, becomes completely cold, destructive, um, really hateful, really mad, like who's shouting and everything, like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, really? So these things happen a lot. Um, with all that, I mentioned remote viewing of targeted partner, like empathic connection with partner, like things like that happen. Radical degree of obsession in one partner. Oh my gosh, yes. Mine, 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 mine. No one else can have him or her. And then, one person will be a little on the loose side. Well, I love you, but here's the menu, and I will look at everyone, and I will admire everyone, and might make a move. If you don't like it, it's your problem. And you're like, oh my god. So, of course, it's normal. Like, everyone by nature is scanning everyone around. And you can look and you can admire and you will see the potential because it's not in our genetics. Like genes, reproduction. Oh my god, look. There's a partner or a person in front of you that will, like make great offsprings. Woo! And our genes and our like hormones and our chemicals go on the charts, and like they're like having a party. That's normal. But when it's controlled, it's over the top and it will trigger you because person will go in certain actions that will trigger you, and they know like, hey, I can look and I can admire and it's great, but I'll make a move. So they get intentions, they get actions, and it feels for the other person like I didn't do anything. But it's like when it comes to alien love bite, all you have to do is click one button or two, and you will say things that you didn't even had in mind. And oops, I say something really bad that I shouldn't have. Super triggering. And actions. You didn't feel like doing it, you didn't want to do it, but you did it anyway. So third parties have a way to control us, control how we feel, control what we think, control our actions in a way where we give in to those impulses. So when it comes to alien love bite, third parties can actually really mess us up. What else was mentioned? Switching off from targeted partner, mutually shared dreams with a partner, reptilian aliens and alien abduction experiences, and all the other things. There's plenty of signs, and like you can definitely read books. Eve Lorgan wrote a lot about it. But here's the thing. Uh, for me, it's like more rambling, talking about what's going on, common signs. But I just see how my life changed immensely, moving from the alien love bite, which was super hard. Because like for me, I'm a very monogamous person. And I see like, okay, my partner, here we come, like I'll do everything for him. But that relationship is like really destructive. Because you are control as well. I am control. Not fully aware of it. Like I try my best to like, okay, awareness of how I feel. I can be aware of when thoughts are not mine. I can be aware of when emotions are on steroids, and it's like, hey, I don't usually feel this way. I know like, okay, I'm a girl, there my cycle comes in, I'm gonna be more emotionally reactive, I'm gonna be aware of it, so I know when something is said or done, and I will be triggered because it's a thing and I'm still working through. I know like I will react way more to it because I'm on my cycle. My hormones are up like off the charts and everything else. Like, okay, cool. I can reflect on that. But the relationship, it's gonna be controlled on steroids. And you might have a thing where your partner might be controlling. Your partner, while you love them and while you share a great relationship, there will be things where it just flips off. All of a sudden they change, becomes a completely different person. And then it goes back to normal again. But he's on and off, on and off. It's just destructive. And I'm kind of like saying like destructive and like empathizing on those situations more because when it comes to alien love bite, it becomes predictive. Once you start noticing the triggers and the way they try to mess with you, you can like say, hey, what's going on? It's not all on us. Yes, we have to take responsibility of our actions, of how we feel, of what we do, and everything else. But in these situations, when the relationship is controlled, you have to acknowledge that there is a third party and they do have the power to affect you, and not everything is in your hands. And what I mean is like certain situations where you will have days of feeling good, you're doing great in life, you're inspired to do stuff. Pay attention. Pay attention to how you're doing right now, if you have a relationship, and how you're currently doing. If you're happy, if you have a goal, if you're succeeding, if there's something like you're really interested in. And there's going to be that, crash and burn. You're at the top one day. You're feeling great. There's this, like, you just have something that you're working on and it's important to you. When the alien love bite, usually these situations, the love will be used against you. While it's giving, while it's fulfilling, while it's helping for you to survive and satisfying your needs and everything else, a lot of us will forget ourselves. People who are in the spiritual side, working on themselves, you know, you are a great manifester. You have great psychic abilities. You have tons of things you can do, and that will be crushed. When it comes to alien love bite, this whole situation, the control relationship, makes you forget yourself, makes you forget what you can do. You go all in about other person, and it's good. The relationship should be in a way of we come to share. While we grow, while we like get bigger, better, stronger, yada yada yada, we come into a relationship to share. But then it comes into not sharing, but forgetting that you even exist. Forget about yourself, making it all about saving something or working on something that's actually destroying you. So there's a lot to it. And for me, oh boy, I don't know. Like, it could be a lot of videos into what changed, but it's just complete opposite. Like the person I am with right now, but mainly like it's not about the other. It's about me. I can look at myself and how when it comes to dealing love bite, it's feeling like I have to survive. It's feeling like I have to be someone that I'm not, and to impress the partner and to adjust and, you know, cannot be fully authentic, cannot be fully me. Kind of even like having to juggle around, like while still trying to be like trying to be authentic, wanting to be authentic, but when you do, it's pushing that other person and the buttons to where you're not supposed to, and your authenticity will trigger them, and you love them, but you can't be yourself. You can't talk honestly. You can't do things you want to do. So, like, a lot of things about you, your life, the way you are, will be really limiting. And you might have watched some videos regarding manifestation. You might have watched some videos by Joe Dispenza where he says that he will never change for the other person. And I would say we create the most, not in the love vibration. Love is great, it's amazing. But we create the most when we are authentic, when you can be you without ever having to limit yourself. You want to laugh, laugh. You want to be silly, be silly. You want to do something goofy, do the goofy stuff. But when you have to adjust, I'm not saying like everywhere in this controlled relationship, but it's like you create the most and you enjoy life the most when you can be yourself, when you can be authentic, when you don't have to limit yourself or think about what you're going to say. You can just say it and know that you will be accepted. They might not agree with you, but they will accept you. And that's a really important part. And in the alien love bite, or, of course, it happens in the relationships where people might not have the acceptance, they might not have tolerance, they might have a whole different way of thinking. And, a lot of it, of course, is psychological. A lot of it, of course, like it's just, it's how we work on ourselves, how we work with our triggers. Because for me, like there will be history for some people, and for me, it's like, one side has the sexual abuse and some fears and some traumas. The other person in the controlled relationship will have a lot of freedom, will have a lot of experience, will have a lot of, like, it's the complete opposite sides. And you come together and you will like, okay, well, let's make something out of it. And it seems to work, but at the same time, while you are blinded by everything that's going on, it's control that really messing you up. And this video is probably like long, and technically I should go to all the points and fit the standards of why people are interested in watching and give you something of value. But to me, I would say like, hey, I'm gonna probably connect to you, even we might make some videos together. But it is an important subject, alien love bite, because it happens to a lot of people. And as I work doing sessions, as I connect with other clients, it's not everyone, but when it happens to someone, it is super obvious, and you will see the patterns. And getting out of the relationship is super hard because, like, one, your feelings are controlled, so you don't have the full freedom, or you might not seem like you have the full freedom. There's going to be a lot of focus of why you have to save the relationship, of why you have to stay in it, why you have to be doing all this stuff. But while getting out of it might seem like the worst thing that will happen to you in life, like you won't be able to have to handle it, you won't be able to survive or something else, and there's going to be so many stops of, like, being in it is not too good for you. Like, you get satisfied, you survive, you get happy times, but when the bad stuff happens, it's just way too destructive. It's limiting. It's really hard on you, and so getting out of it. Well, when it comes to the alien love bite, these beings, they control our emotions. They control how we feel, and it's like walking out of it. They might make it seem like the biggest horror in your life. And they will give you tons of reasons why it should not be the thing, why you should not leave. And, all of these emotions are traumatic and everything else. But if you feel like you reflect on your relationships and you see patterns where you have good days, and there's going to be this big trigger and everything will fall apart and you can no longer work on your stuff, look at those signs. Look at the signs of what Eve Morgan writes in her books, what she talks about in her videos, because there's a lot to it, and it happens to too many people. So yeah, just wanted to talk about it. I don't know, like might make more specific videos in the future if you're interested in like what I notice among the clients, uh, how to get out of these relationships, how to break the patterns. Because I would not say like if you got together and you feel like that person is, the one for you or someone you want to be with currently, and you still want to save the relationship, even though the love bite is happening, the love bite is not a thing that, okay, because there is love bite, there we can no longer be together. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we have to pay attention to what's going on. We have to pay attention to see if the relationship is controlled. Because there's a lot of things that's in our hand, and we have to be authentic, we have to be responsible, we have to know us, ourselves. You know what triggers you, you know if you can be authentic, you know if you can talk about certain stuff, you know how well you do psychologically and emotionally with the other person. And it's great when you look at everything, psychology describes of what a normal relationship should be like. And it's not necessarily staying in the norms of the books, but when it seems a bit too odd, like how the hell did she knew, how the hell did that happen, and you look at all the signs of this is not a normal relationship. The things that are going on between us are just, what the hell? It shouldn't happen to normal people. Pay attention because it might be controlled. But you can work through it. You can work through it. You can definitely break out of the love bite. You can definitely reprogram yourselves. You can like remove the astral implants and change stuff, of course. But sometimes it might not be worth it. So anyway, just wanted to talk about it. Didn't really had a specific thing to say. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.